in Jehovah.
What's going on, YouTube? How you doing? How you doing? First and foremost, man, I want to thank everyone for the love and support. And like I always say, I will always be humble and thankful for that. And before I get started, let me say this. I do want to talk about the video I did last Friday. I made a little mishap. I'm going to talk about that towards the end. And I got to tell y'all about this road trip I had over the weekend going to Iowa, white land. I'm telling y'all, man, I had to take my son out there for football because he started football camp for his college, so I had to bring him a little early. So I got to tell y'all about that. But I got to talk about this, though, y'all. Listen, before we get started, please hit that subscribe button for your boy. Please hit that subscribe button for your boy. These Haitians, man, keep making videos after videos, and I just can't get over. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm gonna slow it down. I know I said I'm gonna slow it down, but this video right here is one of the videos that I want y'all to watch. Now, this Haitian woman think we are all the same, and it's bringing back this ICE situation, how ICE might detain Black Americans, or how ICE is going to deport us, or ICE might even try to harass us. Listen to this, y'all.
Now the Trump administration is said to be sending ICE for the Haitians. I need all the people who said this doesn't affect Black people to clock back in. Because let me ask you something and answer out loud. How is ICE going to tell the difference between a Haitian, a Jamaican, and a Black American? How? Just so you know, I'm not just talking out of my ass. Here are famous people that I bet you didn't know were Haitian. Jason Derulo, Tony Yayo, Blake Griffin, Maxwell, Guy Da Vinci from BMF. All Haitians don't look the same. Some are light, some are dark. Some speak Creole, some don't. Here's my point. If you didn't know that these people were Haitian or come from Haitian descent, how do you think these racist ass ICE agents who think all Black people look the same are going to tell the difference? This is what I've been saying. Racism doesn't check passports, it checks skin tones. You really think they're going around asking, excuse me, sir, are you Haitian or are you Black American? You know damn well they don't care where your ancestors came from. This should be a wake-up call for anybody with some melanin in their skin. Whether you're Black, Haitian, Jamaican, Puerto Rican, Hispanic, whatever. Everybody's free game to these racist ass Nazi ICE agents.
Now you heard that. Now y'all tell me, have y'all ever been stopped by ICE in your adult life? Even since, let's start with Trump. Since Trump been in office, do you know anyone that's descendants of emancipated people, descendants of child slavery, freedmen, indigenous, wherever you are on this land, as long as you're the descendant of emancipated people, do you know anyone that has been detained, has been deported, that's sitting in an ICE facility because they got the wrong skin tone? Anyone? Somebody please talk to me. Listen, y'all, I be in these streets, in real life streets and these social media streets. And in these streets, I have not ran into a grassroots advocate that came to me and say, hey, Brian, there's a Black American. He's a citizen. He's the descendants of emancipated people, and he's being detained by ICE. Can you please get the message out on your platform so we can get this brother or sister or get this family back together? Not one time. Not one time. Let me say that again. Not one grassroots organization reached out to me in Dallas, Texas, and said, Brian, we have a Black American that's being detained. But there are grassroots organizations that have reached out to me to tell me about an African, a Caribbean, a Mexican, an Asian, even a white person that's being detained by ICE right now. Why have I not heard a Black American being detained or even being in an ICE facility, waiting to be deported? Why? Why haven't I heard that? When this woman was speaking, she was speaking to us like she educating us. That's another disrespectful thing a lot of these Haitians and Caribbeans and Africans and people that don't have no blood on this soil, no lineage to this soil, but you want to tell us about white folk? You want to tell us how would they know if they put you, a Haitian, a Jamaican, and an Arab? How would they know the difference? It don't matter. It's going to get sorted out. Do they understand that we've been on this land forever? that even, let's start even after slavery. Let's just start with slavery. I just want to start with slavery. Make it simple and plain. Even with slavery, y'all. Even when we got released as slaves, dealing with Jim Crow, Reconstruction era, the civil rights, drugs, mass incarceration, all these things that we were dealing with. And you think that we never been detained? You think we never been to prison? You think it's a reason why we have a high exoneration rate? And you think we don't know what being racially profiled is? And you think as a funky Haitian or a funky Caribbean that you gonna try to wag the finger at me and tell me about the government that I know better than anything else? Y'all don't know. See, y'all new to this. We've been through this. Our parents, listen, a part of our culture, and I mentioned this before, a part of our culture is teaching us about the history of that white boy on this land. About the laws on this land. How to move on this land as a black person. That's the part of our culture that's ingrained in us. That's why when we walk in places, we have great discernment. That's why when you see black boys that getting unalived by these white boys and by water, so that's why we look at them crazy like, did your mom and daddy teach you that? That's why you see a lot of black people looking like, do you think you don't think you one of us? Your mom and dad didn't teach you about race? Your mom and dad didn't teach you about color? So your mom and daddy pushed you out in this world and say, hey, life is rainbows. Hey, love is love. We shouldn't look at color. That's what your parents taught you? They failed you, because guess what? There's a lot of black Americans that's not swimming with a bunch of white folks. Or not just hanging with a bunch of white folks. For the most part, black folks stick to themselves. I'm not saying you don't see black people hanging out like at the club or, at bars. I get all that. There's some cool white people, I'm pretty sure. But for the most part, we ain't going nowhere in an isolated situation where there's death can be looming with these people. We're different. That's how we was taught. We was taught not to spend the night over there, but you Haitians come over here and y'all learn a little something, read a couple books, and see what you see on the news, and you let the news teach you. Nah, nigga. We got our knowledge from the soil, from our family. So all that you telling us about how, how these white folks, how they gonna, nigga, we ain't studying that shit. We past that. Then she brought up them celebrities and stuff like that. Who cares? They look immigrant. I knew they was immigrant. Listen to the names. Look at them. They not us. Even Blake Griffin. Look how the NBA treated him. They used to treat that nigga like a sucker. Because he ain't had that dog in him like a black American. Had that boy crying. Come on, man. I'm trying to hear all this stuff. Talking about we all the same. Man, why are we going to stick with y'all for? Y'all going to turn on us. Let me tell y'all something. And I hope y'all understand where I'm coming from. That's why the Dominican Republic really don't like you Haitians. Let's just keep it a buck. I understand anti-blackness. I get all that. But you Haitians try to do the fool to them Dominican Republic, them people in the DR. Y'all try to do the fool to them people. And they fought back and they gave y'all that piece of half an island. Say, if y'all come back over here, we gonna get you. It's the reason why they so hostile towards y'all. See, we don't never talk about that part of the history because, we be talking about anti-blackness. We be talking about racism. I get all that. But the real deal is them Haitians was trying to do some things to them light-skinned folks. Them light-skinned folks said, we ain't doing it. We ain't doing it at all. And y'all did some heinous things to them people. That's why them people don't want you over there. Anti-blackness? Yeah. But it's really the truth. Y'all trying to slay them people, man. Y'all trying to do all types of shit. It just didn't work out. Y'all couldn't even take down the light-skinned people. Come on. Haitians? We ain't y'all. So, when you see the people in the Dominican Republic be at them borders, be searching, the DR looking for them people, man, and kicking them out, it's y'all fault, Haitians, because y'all couldn't win the war against them either. And y'all always talking about 1804, but keep in mind, Haitians, even during 1804, y'all fighting a Napoleon army that had yellow fever. Napoleon he ain't send that many people over there because he said, man, I ain't studying them folk, man. I got too many wars going on around the world, so let me send just a little couple people over there, right? Then you had the Jamaica, y'all never, 1804 Haitians, y'all never talk about the Haitians, not the Haitians, but the Jamaicans they'll fight beside y'all, the other Caribbean islands, and hold on, add a little sugar on top. Now I forgot the name of this boat. Y'all, I know somebody in the comments gonna remind me because it's just coming out the top of my head from what I read about a couple years ago. But I didn't know last year, a couple years ago when I read about this, there was a black American. I'm gonna say he owned a boat, and he was delivering weapons to them also. So you had help. But when they came back when the French came back a second time, what happened? So lady, we're not y'all. We're not built like y'all. We don't act like y'all. We just different. That's fine. Wave your poverty flags. Rep that. But we just not y'all people, bro. But anyway, what's y'all thoughts on that, man? Now, I'm about to end this part of it. I'm going to talk about my weekend. So if y'all want to end the video, stop watching, that's fine. I'll probably monologue for a little minute. Now, let me start off first. I did a video last Friday talking about the Bahamas and Barbados. I was intentionally wanted to talk about Bahamas, so I end up putting Barbados information. Now, everything I said in that video was correct. Everything I said about Barbados with the immigration, with how they reversed the visas, how people felt about Haitians coming to Barbados, that was true. But my mind was stuck on Bahamas to talk about Bahamas, and that's why I inserted the video up in there with Bahamas, but I was talking about Barbados. So I apologize for that. I caught it. Like, as soon as I posted, I caught it. And that's why I pinned my comment and just apologize. So everything I said about Barbados was correct and it was factual. And I just want to say that. So if y'all feel any way, because I do take what I do serious. I don't want to put out any misinformation. I don't want to seem like I'm just clickbaiting. I don't want to clout chase, because I don't want to cloud chase off no islands like that. Like, I don't get nothing out of it. I want to make sure I put out the correct information. I don't like that I did it. That was my mistake. I was moving too fast. And that's on me. I accept full responsibility for that. But in that video, what I said about Barbados was true. I stuck to the script. Everything was written down on my laptop. I did research on it and everything. And they talked about it. So you can go to Barbados Times or something, whatever they magazine, and they was talking about the Haitians and stuff like that and how the people felt about it. So it's all in there. What else? But yeah, I just want to make sure I always do my best to put out the correct information. Because one thing I never want to do is put out wrong information and people be like, oh man, Brian, he don't be telling no facts. He don't be telling no truth. He one of these people. You know what I'm saying? So I just want to apologize for that, even though it's not a big mistake, but it still was a mistake to me, because I should never inserted that Bahamas video. And that's what it threw me. I'm like, damn, I thought I was talking about Bahamas. I'm talking about Barbados. Barbados, my bad. That's why when I was saying Barbadians, I meant to say Bahamians, but it was Barbadians. I'm like, Barbadians? But I'm like, let me keep flowing. So I was reading out the script about Barbados. So everything in that video was correct, once again, about Barbados. Now, so salute to everyone. Now, so I had to take my son to Iowa over the weekend. And Lord have mercy. So that was a hellified drive. So drive from Texas to Iowa. On the map it says 10 hours, but technically it might take you 11 hours. Stop, stretch, eat, gas up, stuff like that. So on our way down there, this is my son's sophomore year at the school. So we having conversations and stuff like that. So people was calling my old lady, because my old lady would tell like, yeah, we driving little Brian out, And they said, where you going? Iowa. Said, do you know about? Man, my old lady said, listen, little Brian, daddy taught that boy about them white folks. Like, Brian has raised that boy to watch white people, don't trust them, don't hang around, all that. And what made me say this is, I was talking to Brian. You know, Brian be telling me like little stories that just run my blood pressure up. You know how college kids are. You know, they do college things. I did college things. I wasn't extreme. I was extreme. So he's not extreme like I was doing college, like the stuff I was doing. But still, as a parent, as a single father that raised my son since he came out his mama hoo-ha, it just felt like, oh shit, really, man, god damn. But one thing I'm proud about my son is this. He hang around the black church. He hang around a lot of niggas from Miami too, y'all. So he hang around a lot of Miami niggas, a lot of Florida niggas. I mean, a lot of Florida niggas and a lot of Texas niggas that's out there in Iowa to play football. When they go out, they be 5 to 10 deep going in places out there in Iowa because it's a majority white. So when they go to these parties, like maybe they might go to a white party or something, they be deep up in there. They be ready for the fuck shit. I ain't bullshit. Them, man, my son and his man, them boys be ready for the fuck shit. So, and it had me worried. Let me tell y'all a little quick story. This some real shit. So, last year was my son's first year in college. His mama passed away 2 weeks prior to him leaving for college in August. So, her funeral was on a Saturday. Brian had to be at school on that Monday, right? So the funeral was in Mississippi because his mom was originally from New York City, but she ended up, well, technically Chicago, but she was living in New York. But her family's from Mississippi, so she was in New York at the time when she passed away. So they had to ship her body down to Mississippi, whatever, had it from. That's why it was so long. But her body came on that Thursday. No, her body came to Mississippi on that Wednesday or Thursday, one of them. But her wake was on Friday, and her funeral was on Saturday. And Brian had to be in college on that Monday, so therefore we had to leave Sunday morning to make sure that he get to college. So when the funeral happened, you know, my daughter, his friend, and Brian, they went down there. I had to stay in Texas so I could get the rental car, so I could get all the stuff, you know, get everything. A lot of people said, well, Brian, why you didn't go? Number one, that's something, I want Brian to be around the family, you know, and I felt kind of about it, but my daughter was with him and his best friend was with him. And plus, you know, I just didn't want to make a big deal out of it. Not a big deal, but I didn't want to go to the funeral and her family look, you know, it's just a lot of stuff, you know, with custody and things like that. I have nothing negative to say about her side of the family, but my son was, he was loved because my mom was there, my family was there, so my family went, but I still had to prepare for the next day because keep in mind, Brian is in Mississippi, I'm in Texas, and we had to leave that morning, so it was a lot of preparation that's here or there. So, after the funeral, Brian and my daughter, as soon as after the funeral, they shot back to Texas. One of the hardest things that I had to deal with was I couldn't be there for my son as he grieved after the funeral. You know, because I had to take my son back to Iowa. I mean, I had to drive my son to Iowa literally less than 24 hours after burying his mother, right? So on that ride, man, you know, I'm just talking to my son and stuff like that, and I feel kind of down. Like, damn, man, I wish I could be there as he grieved for at least a couple weeks, then send him to college, but I said, man, this is what I have to do. So we got him online therapy. We set up everything from even with the school, you know, school have like inside therapists where they can talk to the child if, you know, the child grieving or going through something. So I made sure I set up all that the next day because we left that Monday. So, but anyway, we get there Sunday, we put him in, and he had 3 roommates already there. So Brian it was 2 roommates. He had 2 roommates. So it was 4 to a room. It was a nice size room. And, you know, Brian, you know, we having Brian unload and stuff like that. And, you know, I'm still chopping up with him. I said, man, how you feel? Like, you know, it's football, woo, woo, da, 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 da. So I told her, I said, listen, we're going to talk to the school in the morning before we leave because it was Sunday when we got there. So Monday we were going to leave. So I said, before we leave, we're gonna talk to the school, let them know what's going on. Talk to your coaches, let them know what's going on. He's a freshman. You're like, all right, cool. So we did all this, set up everything. When I got back, well, I'm moving too fast. So my thought before I left Iowa was to get in contact with my insurance and get some teletherapy, whatever you call it. What you call it, telehealth or whatever. But therapy, right? Online therapy, just in case he needed it. So we left. Oh, before we left, I cried. That's my son. I'm sorry. Not just because what he going through, it's just everything. Like, damn, man, I've been having, me and my boy been rocking like a cutoff stocking, man, since he was a baby. Now he's gone. You know what I'm saying? So that shit took a toll on me, man. I ain't gonna lie, I was boo-hooing like a motherfucker. I'm talking about, I was boo-hooing. That's my boy. I'm tearing up thinking about it right now. That's my boy. So I left, and we head on back, and we talked till we set up everything. We called and checked them up on him, called and checked them up on him, called and checked them up on him, and everything. So he started to meet people, started to talk to people, started to interact with his, with his teammates and stuff like that, and I think that helped him out to get over the passing of his mother. You know what I'm saying? I ain't gonna say he forgot about it, but they did help out a lot, man. I think him going to college that year really helped out. I think he would have done better there than he would have been here with me. The reason why I say that, because he would have been stuck in his room in his thoughts, or me constantly asking, like, are you okay? Just like the 2 weeks before, when she passed away 2 weeks before, I kept going on asking him, and like, are you okay? You doing good? Woo, woo, woo. But anyway, he formed a bond with some cats from Florida and some cats from Texas. And some of them had personal stuff going on in their life too. One of them mom was a dolphin, the other one daddy is in prison, the other one, lost his parents to death. It's just a weird, I don't want to say trauma bonding, but it's something that they all connected on. They healed each other, if that makes sense. They healed each other. I'm not saying they using it like every time they see each other, like, hey, I want to talk to you about my dolphin mama, or my son Brian going to like, hey, I want to talk to you about my unalive mother, my mother that passed away. It wasn't nothing like that, but the point I'm making is, them boys and other black boys up there, they stick together. They formed a camaraderie where we ain't going nowhere by ourselves. We know these white people in Iowa is something else. We know these police something else. If anything happen, we all gonna go down. And that's what's been happening with them little niggas out there. Them little YN, I'm gonna call them YNs. Because, man, I said, shit, I didn't know half the shit that was going on. I knew it, but I didn't know. But I am happy that I did raise my boy to watch out for white folks. Now, I might did show him how to fix on things, but I did teach him how to move in this world. You know what I'm saying? I did teach him how to be a man, stand up, don't whine, don't complain, don't be crying to a motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? It's okay to release pain. It's okay to cry, but don't be crying to people. I ain't talking about boo-hoo. I'm talking about like, hey, why I can't? Don't do this shit. And the boys that he was around was kind of like that. And guess what? They picked up my son on how he moved, and they moved just like my son. You get what I'm saying? So my son is in the white area. Am I worried that something can happen? Yes, I'm worried. Because this is last semester. He gonna enter the transfer portal, which I'm thankful. But this was like the only kind of opportunity he had to show his talent. So, and he gonna start. So it was cool. And I want him to experience. It's a great experience for him. But I'm so thankful that I taught him about white people. Oh, I'm so thankful, y'all. I used to like second guess myself a lot about that. Cause Brian went to a mixed school. I'm like, damn, man, I'm teaching this nigga don't fuck with these white folks and shit. He Mexican, and but he was around black folks. He was cool with it. He understood the assignment. You know, but I used to think like, damn, man, we would walk around, be seeing black and white kids just kicking this, shooting a bobo, but in my spirit, I'm like, man, when that white boy get older, gonna turn on you, little black boy. But I'm happy my son did listen. Out of all the bullshit this nigga probably did listen, he did listen to me on that. He did understand where I was coming from. My daughter also, that's another story. But yeah, man, but anyway, that trip just solidified that I did a great job with my son. You know, even though what he went through last year was very tough for anybody, even would be tough for me. But to see my son come from that, going to college a day after his mother's funeral, that's very strong on my son. And I told him, man, you can write a book on your life, man, how you became who you became. Cause you was a strong individual. You know what I'm saying? I said, your mother would be proud. I'm proud of you. Everybody proud of you, you know. So, but yeah, shout out to my little boy, man. You know, I think he gonna do his thing. But I don't mean to bore y'all. I just had to tell y'all about it, cause you know how kids get older and they start to go through things without you, you know. So you be like, ugh. I see how my mom and daddy felt now. Like, shit, I wasn't as extreme, but at least my son wasn't extreme like I was. Like, thank God, because my son was extreme like me. Whew, I already lost my hair and shit. I probably wouldn't have no facial hair. But anyway, salute to everyone. I didn't mean to tell this long story, but I just had to get it off, man. Just let y'all know what was going on. And but yeah, peace out to everyone. Y'all have a good one, and I love y'all.